Molly the second best. Molly and Neville are mixed traffic engines and they can pull both trucks and coaches. They have buffers at the front and tenders at the back, and they are both the Fat Controller's engines. One morning, the Fat Controller brought in a photographer to take pictures of some engines. "This year's poster engine," said the Fat Controller, "is going to be..." But before he could say who else, the other engines were excited, especially Molly. "I hope he chooses me," she boasted. "Neville," said the Fat Controller, "you will be the poster engine." Neville was happy and whistled happily. Everyone gave Neville 3 cheers, except for Molly, who was feeling very shocked. The photographer tried to take Neville's picture, but Molly was getting in the way. "Molly, leave the sheds," ordered the Fat Controller. And poor Molly puffed sadly away. Later, Molly was taking on passengers. She was travelling on the Sodor suspension bridge when she saw Neville's poster there. "Why wasn't I on the poster?" she thought sadly. Soon she arrived at the big station at the Harbour Yards. When she saw Neville's poster right beside the yellow crane, she was still moaning. "I wish I was on the poster like Neville," she thought sadly. Why am I not in it?" "Because," said Boko, "Neville is always gentle with his trucks." "And he's always on time," said Stepney. "And he works so hard without moaning about his paint getting dirty." "I can do all those things too," said Molly. "I'll show you all that I'm good enough to be on the poster," she grumbled. The next morning, Boko was shunting some stone trucks with Neville. Neville shunted his stone truck so gently that he hardly got dirty at all. And that was exactly what Molly did as well. Just then she puffed in next to Stepney. "See," she said, "I've shunted my trucks gently. I'm good enough to be on the poster." "Neville worked so hard for these jobs to be on the poster last year," teased Stepney, "and while you were a handful at the time." But Molly was cross. "I'll show you that I'm good enough to be on the poster." And she steamed off. Soon Molly began racing down the line all day. She was looking studdy and greasy and grubby. She knew that if she had done all her jobs, she would be on the poster. Soon she arrived at the big station at the Harbour Yards, with her yellow paint looking dusty. "See," she said, "I'm on time. I look good enough to be on the poster." But Molly was so dusty that she had to have a wash down for a very long time. Just then, Porter came over. "Your speeding around has made you late for your passenger train," he teased. Molly was even crosser. "That's not fair," she complained. "I know," teased Porter. Our Neville is always on time. That was why he was on the poster. He teased, but Molly was still cross. I'm always on time, and I'm still good on the poster, she complained. But then she had an idea. After I'm washed, she said, maybe I can go on to Gordon's Express line, cut off through Neville's line, and then make it to the station where my passengers are waiting, she said, and she knew it was a good idea. After getting polished and cleaned, Molly reversed out of a siding and was switched on to Gordon's Express line. She raced around bends and she puffed up hills. And she even took a shortcut over the Action Canyon. On top, Neville was taking on passengers, but then there was trouble. Molly came out of the cave of the Action Canyon and sped down Neville's line. Neville didn't have time to stop, so his coaches pushed him down the hill and bumped into Molly. "Help!" cried Molly. "I can't stop!" But it was too late. The two went over a siding and crashed. "Sorry," cried Neville. "I didn't have time to stop." "It's all right," replied Molly. "It was my fault." Just then, Duck backed over to see what was going on. "Oh," he said, "you look good enough to be on a poster," he teased. But Molly looked very silly. The Fat Controller climbed out of Duck. "Molly," he said, your speeding has caused confusion and delay." "Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir," moaned Molly. "Neville," said the Fat Controller, "your firebox is broken. Now the children will never be taken to the beach on your coaches." But Molly had an idea. "Sir," she said, "if Neville's firebox is broken, I can be his back engine." "What a wonderful idea," said the Fat Controller. Both Neville and his coaches were very heavy, but Molly didn't care at all. She was only helping because she wanted to be a really useful engine. All the children cheered as Neville arrived at Wellsworth Station, with he and his coaches being pushed by Molly. "Look!" cried the children. "It's Neville the poster engine, and he's being pushed by Molly." Molly grinned. She knew she was already the really useful engine as she was before. Neville blushed and cheered. "You know," he said to Molly, "you may have not been on the poster, but you really are a useful engine."